Video productions from thefinalgate.com. Okay, welcome to part 2 of a two-part video series. This is basically where I left off on the first part. Hopefully you've seen it. If you haven't, I encourage you to go back and watch part 1 and then pick up here at part 2. Now, once I realized that the Facebook is no longer, that AFCE is no longer their address, so it's not anything that's pointing to Facebook. I just realized that it's a combination of letters is what it is. It's strange that I found that. So I'm going to leave that in and just calculate how many, in my program, that there's actually 792 possibilities for just these set of letters. So they could be scrambled up, and that is in no way accurate. I mean, I know that it's at least that many, and I feel like it's mid-range to, it's from mid-range probably. It could be, 1,500, because I just didn't continue to scramble or shuffle all these letters around enough. So that's just a program that's not accurate. I just wanted to show that there's at least 792 possibilities out of just those letters. Now, this led me to the idea that maybe I shouldn't look at the right side, or what they call the lower side, of the IPv6 address. So I started looking or investigating the left side and what all that meant. And as you can see here, the left side is really it's really for internet service providers or corporations or huge companies that may have huge servers, like a global server. They would get assigned this address, which would be totally unique to them. For example, the first two is assigned by Aaron to a vendor. Now, Aaron is one of many agencies out there that actually assign IPv6 addresses for these public topologies. And so the third is actually a region or site location for that unique number or unique address ID. And then the site subnet, I mean, that's just a subnet similar to the 255.255.255.0 that we're used to with IP addresses. And that number there could actually be like 65,000. So I thought what I would do is concentrate on these first 3 blocks. So that's really 12 characters. So in doing that, and before we move on, I'm just showing you to prove that basically this 2600 6C58, this is actually coming from my internet service provider. Then it's assigning me the last 4 blocks of the address. That's coming from that ISP vendor. So that this computer here is basically totally unique to the world. There's not another device on the planet that would have that exact IP address. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. I'm looking at the vendor side of this address. So this led me into my program where I went in and actually designed or developed a way that I could actually come in backwards. I keep trying to move that up. I'm grabbing the wrong thing because I need to clear this. Then I can drop it back down. So what I did in my program, I wrote a calculation so that I could just go backwards, enter a certain set of characters, and then check and see how many combinations of 666 would come up. So let me do this one just to show you. Okay, so I just entered face B025, and then I clicked this, and then I found that I had a bunch of 12s. Okay, And so that's what I recorded, one of these right here. That's what I recorded. And then I checked, what the possible or estimated possibilities was from just those characters. And my program came up with 648, which again is probably low. I mean, it's probably over 1,500. Probably you could probably double that. Then I did the same thing with the word face B026 instead of 25, and I hit one of these. Then I did the word BACE 027, and then I hit one of these. So you can see where I'm going here. I'm basically trying to prove or show that there could literally be thousands and thousands of addresses that would fit in these first three blocks of a global server. And a global server could be connected up or networked together, and then it would have sub sites under it up to 65,000 servers. So these first three blocks could plausibly be a combination of something that totals to 666, which is what my program basically does. Okay, and just to show that, let me just clear that. And I'm just going to enter that AF right there. That AFCB 2AE 0 5FCB. And I'll pull this up. And you'll see that it did total to 666. So it's highly plausible at this point that servers of the world globally, they could have the 666 incorporated into their address. Now, I want to go back. I think it's back. Yeah, I'm going to go back and cover something just to let you know that I understand. If you go back to the IPv6, it's really not hitting the ASCII character chart. See, it doesn't have to do that because it's skipping that whole rigmarole. It's basically the IP address, as far as I know, they're the only two things that are really truly different from our basic computer science of this. Of a byte equaling, a binary byte, 8 bits, equals a character, which takes us back to this chart. Everything works out of that on computers, except the IPv4 and the IPv6. So I know that some may say, well, your program's not adding up right because there is no ASCII character for the letter 2. But I wanted to just show you that just before a lot of people, post it or whatever. It's just the way I did the program. I just felt like that it's still computer science. It's still based on binary. It's still on or offs. And so that's what I did. Just so that you know, I'm still in my program. I'm still taking the letter 2, for example, and if I look down at 2 here, I see that it's coming up with hex 32. And that's what's part of the equation here. Okay, I get all that. But it's interesting the way this turned out. So let me move on with that said. And again, I'm not saying that Facebook is the Antichrist. So don't go saying that. That's not what I'm saying here. It's not what I'm doing. Facebook just happened to help me find a combination of the 666. Now, where's this leading to? Well, here's what it's leading to. Currently, implanted microchips uses what's called an RFID, radio frequency identification, or a near field communications, which is better known as NFC. Now, unlike Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, the NFC interaction is limited to an extremely short range, as well as the RFID. But what's going to happen eventually, The technology is going to get to a point where one of these bad boys right here is going to have Wi-Fi capability. It's going to have internet access. And therefore, it will be assigned an IPv6 address. And most likely, it'll be static. Because they're going to track you. They're going to track you, so it's got to be an ID that no one else has. Okay? Now, recently and in the past, in the last few years, I mean, SpaceX, one of their main missions, man, they just lifted off a rocket that had 51 satellites in it just a week or two ago. And here's what it says on their website. It says the Starlink satellites will be used to provide high-speed, low-latency internet service to customers around the world. So you can clearly see that everything is pointing toward technology. And one day, there's not going to be many places on the globe that you're not going to have internet access. And if you are implanted with one of these chips, you're going to be on the internet. So they're going to have access to your information, and you're going to be able to get, that's the reason why it says if you don't take this, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. Well, it makes perfect sense. And it also makes perfect sense that the 666 can be incorporated into that IP address. Now, I'm not trying to prophesy here or try to act like I know something. It's just another theory. But I'm saying, who's to say that ultimately one day, one of the major global server networks will have an address here that floats back to this 666 theory that I've showed you within my program. And then when Antichrist takes his mark, he selects for his site location to be 666. And his right side, 666, 666. I mean, it's plausible that can happen. And if that's the case, when you're faced with the fact that you've got to receive one of these bad boys, it could very well have the 666 incorporated into one of the main servers or global servers of where it's coming from. So listen, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. And hey, it's just it's just to give you thought, give you a reason to maybe check out, Jesus Christ, give you a reason to say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to look into God and look at the Bible. Because that's what this is all about. It's a message that we're headed toward the end times, and it's closer than what you think. So, thanks for watching. TheFinalGate.com.